was supposed to be just another peaceful camping trip. I had been coming to this forest in Colorado for years, visiting every couple of months when the weather was nice. It was a remote spot, far from any official trails, and I had always liked the solitude. I had already spent 2 full days there, setting up my camp and doing some fishing. Nothing unusual had happened until the third day. That morning, I decided to go on a hike, heading north from my campsite. With no trails, I had to rely on my knowledge of the landmarks. I had all the necessary gear, maps, compass, and enough supplies so I wasn't worried about getting lost. I was enjoying the crisp mountain air, the rustling of the trees, and the peacefulness that came with being alone in nature. Then, something caught my attention, a thin column of smoke rising into the sky. I stopped in my tracks, my heart beating a little faster. The smoke looked like it was coming from my campsite. My mind raced. Had I accidentally left my fire going? Was something burning? I turned around and quickly made my way back, pushing through the undergrowth, my pace quickening with each step. But as I got closer, about a quarter-mile away, I realized that the smoke wasn't coming from my campsite. It was nearby, just deep enough into the trees that I couldn't see the source. I hesitated. The only logical explanation was that someone else had set up camp there, but that didn't sit right with me. There were no trails here. This place was isolated. The chances of another camper being here at the same time in the exact area I had chosen were incredibly slim. A strange unease settled in my chest, but I decided to stay put. If someone was out there, I didn't want to run into them. An hour passed. I busied myself around my campsite, trying to push the thought aside. But then, I saw something that sent a cold wave of fear through me. A man. He was standing just beyond the tree line, partially hidden by the shadows, watching me. I froze. He wasn't moving. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there, facing my campsite. My mind raced. How long had he been there? How long had he been watching? I raised a hesitant hand and gave a small, nervous wave. No reaction. He didn't wave back. He didn't move. He just stood there. A minute passed, then another. I tried to act like I wasn't bothered, pretending to go back to what I was doing, but I kept glancing up, my body tense, my pulse hammering in my ears. Finally, after about 15 minutes, he was gone. No movement, no sound, just gone. That should have been the end of it. Maybe it was just another camper. Maybe it was just a coincidence. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As the sun began to set, I debated whether I should leave, but I convinced myself that I was just overreacting. I had been coming here for years. I had never felt unsafe before. That was my mistake. Night fell, and I sat by my fire, listening to the quiet sounds of the forest. The crackling flames gave me a false sense of security. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something. A flickering light. Another campfire. But it wasn't where the smoke had been earlier. This was closer, near where I had seen the man. My stomach twisted. Something wasn't right. I stood up, staring into the darkness, scanning the trees. That's when I saw it. A face just 10 feet away, partially hidden behind a bush. Someone was crouched there, watching me. My breath caught in my throat. My muscles locked. He must have thought I couldn't see him, but I could. His eyes were fixed on me, unblinking. I stepped back, positioning myself behind my fire. My mind screamed at me to run, to get in my tent, to do something, but I couldn't move. I was trapped in a silent standoff with whoever was out there. 30 agonizing minutes passed. He didn't move. I didn't move. The only sound was the crackling of my fire. Then, slowly, deliberately, he began to retreat. Still crouched low, he crept backward, deeper, into the forest. I stayed awake all night, staring into the darkness, expecting him to return. At the first light of dawn, I packed my things in record time and got the hell out of there. I walked fast, too afraid to run, too afraid to look back. I don't know who he was. I don't know what he wanted. But I do know one thing. I was not alone in those woods. And whoever was out there wasn't just another camper.